If I may have attention once again, I've been advised that there is a direct video feed in room CR3 down on the first floor. Everyone can have a seat, can be seated in that comfortable room. It is actually the Roberto Kobe room, and it will allow all of you standing at the back or on the sides to have a very comfortable perspective on the proceedings this morning. So again, there is live video feed downstairs just below the Assembly Hall on the first floor, room CR3, where all of you standing may actually have a very comfortable seat and watch the proceedings of this morning. Thank you for your attention. And we will be starting in just a few moments. So again, those that have not taken their seats, we would kindly ask that you do so at the moment. Thank you so much. Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, bonjour. Je m'appelle Denis Chagnon.
My name is Denis Chagnon, and I have the signal honor to serve as Master of Ceremonies at the opening of the 40th session of the Assembly of ICAO.
The President of the ICAO Council, Dr. Olumoyiwa Bernard Aliou, will officially welcome you to this 40th session of the ICAO Assembly and deliver his opening address. He will be followed by representatives of the 3 levels of government that support ICAO's presence here in Montreal. Following these addresses will be the presentation of the ICAO Council President certificates for safety and security achievement initiated in support of the No Country Left Behind campaign. We would like to inform you that on Channel 7 of the sound system, there will be Portuguese interpretation of the proceedings made available extraordinarily for this 40th Assembly through the generous contribution of Brazil. Before we go any further, it is my great pleasure to help set the stage for this 40th Assembly and to highlight ICAO's 75th anniversary this year with the following video tribute produced for the organization by Chinese aviation innovator Yi Heng and featuring over 3,000 choreographed drones. And now it is my great privilege and honor to invite to the lectern the President of the ICAO Council, Dr. Aliou.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor and privilege to declare open this historic 40th session of the ICAO Assembly. On behalf of the ICAO Council, ICAO Secretary General Dr. Fang Liu, and the many honorable ministers and delegates to the Assembly who are here with us today, I wish to first extend a very warm welcome to our three distinguished guests, Mr. Michael Kinnon, Deputy Minister of Transport of Canada, Honorable Mr. Francois Legault, Premier of the Province of Quebec, and Ms. Valérie Plante, Mayor of Montreal. It is also my honor to welcome here today the representatives of UN sister organizations, regional aviation commissions, aviation industry organizations, non-governmental organizations, and many others from around the world with a vested interest in our sector. For the past 75 years, ICAO has proudly provided the leadership and served as the global forum for all aviation stakeholders to work very concertedly with our member states to foster the safety, security, operational, and environmental efficiency and sustainability of international civil aviation, and in augmenting air transport's role in driving critical and sustainable socio-economic development in many areas of the world. This Assembly has set new records for its level of participation and for the very significant amount of work to be undertaken over the coming 10 days. However, before we look to some of the more challenging decisions and priorities to be established here, it is important to acknowledge the progress that has been achieved since the 39th Assembly in 2016. The ICAO No Country Left Behind, or NCLB initiative, has become a tremendous success story that has achieved unprecedented impact in enhancing the effective implementation of ICAO standards and recommended practices and global plans in all world regions. I would highlight here the benefits achieved for states through the technical assistance and capacity building strategies, programs, plans, and projects implemented by each of our regional offices, the Technical Cooperation Bureau, the ICAO Program for Aviation Volunteers, and the Global Aviation Training Office under the No Country Left Behind initiative. These activities have produced clear results in terms of enhanced member state compliance with ICAO norms, improved national capabilities for aviation safety and security oversight, and increased global interoperability. Many states with lower level of effective implementation of ICAO safety SAPs, for example, have now attained or surpassed the 60% target in ICAO's Global Aviation Safety Plan due to NCLB. And there has been a dramatic decrease in the number of states showing significant safety concerns. The global average of effective implementation of safety SAPs has increased from 60% to about 69% currently since the advent of No Country Left Behind. Accident totals too have been continuously decreasing, with some regions having even achieved zero fatalities in scheduled services over multi-year periods. Africa, for example, has zero fatalities in 2016 and 2017, and saw its average yearly accident rate decrease by 40% from the previous triennium. In addition to these sectoral performance improvements, under NCLB, ICAO's World Aviation Forum events have been further instrumental in helping states to better integrate their aviation and national development strategies, develop improved business cases, and more attractive investment climates relevant to their major aviation infrastructure and project needs, and attract the financing and investment partners needed to make those mega projects a reality. The ICAO Council has recognized the significant achievements recorded by states that were seemingly hitherto left behind. In this regard, a total of 40 states were so recognized through the issuance of the Council President certificate since the award's inception. It will again be my great honor and pleasure to award 16 certificates for safety and 17 certificates for security improvements to new recipients later this morning. In addition, these results have taken place during a triennium which has been record-breaking in terms of traffic growth. This growth is highly beneficial to global socioeconomic prosperity, but it needs to be managed such that the safety and efficiency of our network remain fully assured. This is why the enhancement of regulatory capacity and the modernization of aviation infrastructure and human resources development approaches have become more urgent concerns for air transport leaders and planners. In this connection, all our member states have greatly appreciated the recent revisions to ICAO's global plans for aviation safety and for air navigation capacity and efficiency, aimed at making the implementation of related targets practical and achievable. ICAO also developed and implemented the first ever global aviation security plan over the past triennium. I wish to applaud the very proactive implementation support our regional offices provided, leading to inclusive regional roadmaps being agreed upon to assure its effective launch. This work has also been importantly augmented through our continuing facilitation, border control and identity management support to states through the ICAO TRIP strategy. And I was pleased to welcome the development of the new TRIP compendium during the last triennium. In the area of aviation environmental protection, we continue to benefit from the tremendous participation of our states, industry, and NGO partners in ICAO's multi-pronged strategy. At the last assembly, we adopted the historic carbon offsetting and reduction scheme for international aviation, or CORSIA, and our continued CORSIA rollout support and capacity building this triennium has assured that states representing 77% of international aviation activity will be participating in its voluntary phase as of 2021. Technology and operational improvements continue to progress on pace during this period, including through the adoption of the world's first global design standard for CO2 emissions and for non-volatile particulate matter and nitrogen oxides by any sector. We also adopted a long-term vision on development and deployment of sustainable aviation fuels. Other notable developments over the last triennium concerned our renewed focus on the next generation of aviation professionals and the organization and very successful launch of the first ever Global Aviation Gender Equality Summit. Our Next Generation Aviation Professional Summit, in particular, led to the realization of the new International Association of Aviation and Aerospace Education, otherwise known as ALICANTO. And I was pleased to address their first annual general meeting here on Sunday. Collectively, as aviation leaders, we have a very critical responsibility to ensure that there are sufficient numbers of skilled personnel to manage the increasingly complex technological foundation for 21st century aviation. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take a moment at this time to appreciate the many activities which ICAO member states have undertaken thus far to help support and draw attention to our 75th anniversary, including by developing airport and CAA ICAO 75 historic exhibits, arranging area demonstrations, promoting the ICAO 75 video at prominent national airports, the issuance of national stamps, youth awareness campaigns, the preparation and release of historical materials, and the hosting of ICAO's 75th anniversary flag in uniquely prominent geographic locations such as Mount Everest, Mount Kilimanjaro, Mount Kenya, and Victoria Falls. In 2014, for ICAO's 70th anniversary, I initiated the establishment of the ICAO Museum to appreciate our past achievements together. However, for this year's 75th anniversary, I requested that we should focus the sector's attention on innovation and the future of flight. Those of you who were fortunate enough to attend our preceding World Aviation Forum and Innovation Fair have appreciated the importance of doing so. This prioritization on new research and development recognizes the rapidly expanding capacity of the incredible new aircraft now being conceptualized, designed, and produced to fulfill new services and roles for civil societies. And at the IWAF in particular, we also explored how innovation must be a guiding priority for civil aviation regulators as well, notably as they engage with new entrants to assist and not impede the incredible evolution in flight now taking place. We must be more proactive in making the ICAO tent bigger so that it can accommodate new stakeholders such as the urban planners, municipal leaders, emergency aid planners, and many others with a stake in the future of urban air mobility and the roles to be played by new model aircraft. However, it is important for us to continue to remind ourselves, even in the era of innovation, that aviation safety, security, and sustainability must remain our most fundamental priorities. What we must realize together is, therefore, an effective and balanced approach to new aviation innovations, one which accelerates policy and regulatory approvals while safeguarding consumer protection, fair and sustainable economic and social development. I was particularly encouraged at the Innovation Fair to witness how today's aviation innovators are placing a very high priority on realizing emissions-free green aviation solutions. Faced as our sector is today, with a very concerned new generation looking to limit air transport activity in response to our warming climate, these developments and the potential they represent greatly reassures me that technical and operational innovation, in addition to the other key elements of the ICAO basket of measures for air transport environmental sustainability, will be key to how our sector continues to foster global connectivity, peace, and prosperity while addressing and eventually eliminating aviation's carbon footprint. Aviation and tourism are critical as conduits for wealth distribution among rich and poor nations, and the benefits of air transport are very pertinent to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals under Agenda 2030. Our goal as air transport leaders, therefore, must be to heed the voices of our world now insisting on faster and more effective emissions reduction efforts. But at the same time, we can help those same advocates to understand that there are many ways to achieve these goals, short of seeking to disconnect the incredibly diverse and interdependent world we share together, and which so many generations before ours have worked so hard to bring together through the wonders of flight. Ladies and gentlemen, many of the endorsements and decisions you will be making here at ICAO over the next 10 days will be critical to how effectively and efficiently international air transport can continue serving humanity on a truly sustainable basis, as envisaged by the drafters of the Chicago Convention and under the global leadership of ICAO. The eventual result of your analysis and decisions will be an approved work program and results-based budget for ICAO, and a newly agreed set of priorities and targets for international aviation for the next 3-year period and beyond. With respect to ICAO's global plans for safety and air navigation capacity and efficiency, you'll be asked to decide on new revisions which will be instrumental to managing the adoption and integration of new 21st century aircraft and operations alongside traditional aircraft operations. In the aviation security domain, you will be reviewing the ICAO cybersecurity strategy for the air transport sector, which features various goals relating to information sharing, improved coordination among all partnering government and enforcement entities, and timely and aligned responses to related risks and events. Under our environmental protection strategic objective, your attention will be focused primarily on the needed implementation steps and assistance required in support of the COSIA, including on COSIA-eligible fuels and emissions units, and the structure of its central registry. It is important for us to remember that COSIA was adopted at the last assembly after very difficult negotiations, and to avoid a cumbersome patchwork of national measures for operators, such as taxes, which can impede global connectivity. It would therefore be counterproductive to aviation and climate change progress if we fail at this assembly to assure COSIA's continuing launch as a truly global offsetting scheme for international flight emissions. Your guidance is also being sought on the institution of an exploratory study on the likely impacts of new supersonic aircraft being developed, the assessment of the feasibility of long-term global climate change goals, further elaboration of the ICAO vision on sustainable aviation fuels, and the development of new guidance respective of air transport climate change adaptation and resilience. In terms of the economic development of air transport, we expect your decisions and ICAO's continuing work to promote the important socioeconomic benefits of air transport liberalization, opening of market access, and related objectives for new and modernized infrastructure. Further and important endorsements we shall be seeking include acknowledgement of the scope and value inherent in the No Country Left Behind initiative, guidance on fresh impetus to the next generation of aviation professionals, the ICAO Global Aviation Training and Technical Cooperation and Assistance Programs. From the perspective of governance, we also have to continue our efforts in enhancing efficiency and effectiveness of the organization, as well as mobilize and leverage additional resources through new synergies and partnerships. Excellencies, honorable ministers, assembly delegates, dear colleagues, your organization, ICAO, has been endowed with a unique leadership role to set aviation's global policies, programs, and standards, and to provide the coordinating platform for governments and industry to collaborate and achieve results. It has been my honor and privilege in the past 6 years to lead this unique organization, which to my mind is undoubtedly one of the most effective and efficient in the United Nations system. I first fell in love with aviation when I was just 5 years old, when I saw in 1965 an aircraft bring medical supplies to a remote town where my mother was working as a nurse with a Catholic mission in Nigeria. However, nothing then in 1965 or in 1977, when I walked into the door of my aviation university in Kyiv, Ukraine, would have foretold that I would be standing before you today as president of the ICAO Council. I am incredibly grateful for this honor and privilege, and I wish to thank everyone today who either helped me live my dream or achieve what we have accomplished together here at ICAO. So let us rekindle the passion we have for aviation and work together so that the excitement for flight and all that it can accomplish is fostered even more strongly in the coming generations for young boys and girls equally. This assembly, after all, will be one for bold decisions and a time to refine our vision for how air transport can be of even greater service to states and regions, businesses, and travelers in the exciting years ahead. I would encourage you and the new council you will elect at this assembly to progress this work, mindful of the global expectations now and always upon us, and in the spirit of the preamble to the Chicago Convention. This in order that civil aviation can continue to help create and preserve friendship and understanding among the nations and peoples of the world, and to promote global security, peace, and prosperity. It is within that same spirit of cooperation and the consensus-driven progress which has been the hallmark of this organization for 75 very storied years of international air transport challenge and accomplishment that I wish you all a very productive and successful 40th session of the ICAO Assembly. I want to thank all of you for being here today with us to celebrate this historic assembly and this historic 75th anniversary.
Thank you, Mr. President, for your inspiring words. I would now invite the Honorable François Legault, Premier of Quebec, to address the Assembly.
President of the Council of ICAO, Bernard Aliou, Secretary General of ICAO, Dr. Fan Liu, Minister of International Affairs, Nadine Giraud, Ministers, Heads of Foreign Delegations, Mayor of Montreal, Valérie Plante, the Representative of Canada to ICAO, Martial Paget, ladies and gentlemen, representatives to ICAO, Deputy Minister of Transports, Michael Keenan, distinguished guests, it is a great pleasure for me to be with you here in this magnificent chamber to open the 40th session of the Assembly of ICAO and mark the 75th anniversary of the organization. As you know, maybe, I spent a part of my life in the aviation sector. First Nation Air and then Quebec Air, and I jointly founded Air Transat together with partners, and I was president of that airline. And so I have first-hand experience of regulation of this industry. But above all, I have seen how important ICAO is in times of conflict, such as the Gulf War. I can bear witness to the key role that ICAO plays in bringing together industry, experts, and governments, and pursue operations in some very difficult times. And speaking of conflict, today we remember that 75 years ago, at the height of World War II, the representatives of 54 nations gathered together in Chicago to plan the future of aviation. The war was raging still, and many attendees risked their lives to come to North America and defend the idea of international cooperation. And in spite of the fraught context, they were able to reach an agreement to create a new organization that brought together all the players in civil aviation, the organization now known as ICAO. After the signing of the Chicago Convention in 1944, the great question was, where would the headquarters of ICAO be based? And happily, Montreal won out as the ideal place. Montreal is French-speaking and a member of the Commonwealth, and it's close to the United States. So Montreal was able to bring together the major allies after the war. And 7 decades later, I believe we can say that it was the right choice. Montreal today is more relevant than ever. It's a city of innovation with major universities, a large number of researchers in, among other things, artificial intelligence. For ICAO, this proximity to leaders in artificial intelligence is a boon to its work on the technologies of the future of aviation. And Montreal is also taking the lead in addressing climate change. We know that this is one more area in which ICAO has to work, and we want ICAO to benefit from our expertise in Montreal. Montreal and Quebec have a robust aviation industry, which is one of the most prosperous and innovative in the world. We have companies such as Bombardier, Airbus, Bell Helicopter, Pratt & Whitney, CAE, and as of last week, Mitsubishi has joined us. So Quebec really is a global aviation nerve center. The province of Quebec has a long line of movers and shakers in the civil aviation sector. Aviation is part of the Quebec landscape and has been so for a long time. The first civil airport in Canada is situated not far from here in Saint-Hubert. And we have one of the 20 biggest airlines in the world, Air Canada, which got its start as Trans-Canada Airlines here. And it's this isn't the only air carrier that got its start here. At the time that ICAO was created, Quebec also had Nordair, Quebec Air, and we have and still have a great deal of aviation expertise, pilots, aeronautical communications experts, mechanics, safety specialists. And I myself have seen from my experience as president of Air Transat that the expertise is out there, and Quebec has a lot to offer the aviation sector. And we are happy to export our expertise to other countries. In Quebec, there are many aviation pioneers, just to name one, who many of you might know well, Pierre Jagnot. He was president of Air Canada and was one of the inventors of the famous black boxes that aircraft carry. We also have highly skilled, famous pilots, including Robert Pichet, who I was proud to have hired in Air Transat. He was able to glide his airplane for 20 minutes and make an emergency landing and saved all the passengers' lives in 2001. This was an extraordinary feat. So Quebec has a long history of success and innovation in aviation, and ICAO's headquarters has made Montreal the world capital of civil aviation, and I am so proud of that. Montreal is a magnet not just for aviation players, but also for other international organizations. The decision taken in 1947 for ICAO to establish its headquarters in Quebec was the right decision. And since that time, we have welcomed additional international organizations. Today, we have 66 international organizations, including 4 UN offices. Today, Montreal is the 3rd largest host city for international organizations in North America after Washington and New York. And that is not to mention all of the big conferences that we regularly host in Quebec, not just in Montreal. So our city is recognized as being an outward-looking city, a city of knowledge, a city of aviation. And for ICAO, these assets provide fertile ground for continuing development. This is a partnership that benefits Quebec just as much as it benefits your organization. It is for that reason that we were much relieved at the decision to renew the agreement with ICAO to keep its headquarters here through 2036. ICAO helps protect consumers and creates a level playing field for airlines. ICAO's work is decisive in keeping civil aviation safe, efficient, and adaptable to the great challenges before it. In recent years, ICAO has been focusing more and more on the issue of sustainable development. Indeed, your 39th Assembly, you adopted a number of initiatives to limit greenhouse gas emissions, and I applaud your commitment to the fight against climate change. There are many different emerging issues, not least of all drone technologies. This is a promising technology that opens new possibilities, but also safety concerns. And I know that ICAO will be able to develop a harmonized regulatory framework to help its members regulate drones. Another challenge is air traffic growth. 4.3 billion passengers boarded flights in 2018. That's an increase of 6% year on year and a 7% increase last year. Of course, this is a rich opportunity for industry, for the economies of many countries, but it forces us to work ever harder to manage flights. And we have to be able to address the dual requirements of efficiency and security in airports. There's also the issue of cybersecurity. A lot has been said about that in Quebec in recent months. It is going to become increasingly relevant and a major priority. We have to do more to protect infrastructure, civil aviation infrastructure, communications, and data, especially passenger data. So there are many challenges before us, but we must continue to engage in international cooperation to rise to those challenges together. And I can tell you that Quebec stands by you in that endeavor. My message for you today is that Quebec is firmly committed to supporting ICAO in Montreal. The headquarters of your organization is a real treasure. It matters to us. As host city, we are aware of our responsibility to continually improve the working environment for the staff of ICAO. That is why the government of Quebec has granted $1.8 million in 2018-2019 to support your activities. We just adopted the new agreement to maintain the exemptions, privileges, and arrangements that facilitate your work. So you can be absolutely certain that we will do whatever it takes to keep your headquarters here in the long term in Montreal. ICAO is part of Montreal. It is part of Quebec. It is part of our aviator DNA. I would like to congratulate you all on the 75th anniversary of ICAO and wish you productive discussions at this 40th Assembly. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Mr. Premier, I would like to extend to your government and the people of Quebec our most sincere appreciation for the comprehensive and generous assistance you have provided to us over the years, most notably in making available precious office space to house our technical cooperation program, but also as evidenced by the recent renewal of the understanding signed between ICAO and Quebec. Rest assured that this tangible expression of support, coupled with the cordial relations we continue to enjoy with your officials, enhance our ability to better serve the international aviation community. Merci beaucoup.
I now wish to invite Madame Valérie Plante, Mayor of the City of Montreal, to address the Assembly.
Alors, bonjour.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to welcome the Premier of Quebec, Mr. François Legault, and the President of the ICAO Council as well, and Madam Secretary General. Thank you very much for welcoming us. As well, good day to Deputy Minister of Transport of Canada, Excellencies, Ministers, and Heads of Delegation, Ambassadors, Permanent Representatives to ICAO, and the whole ICAO team who is here in force. Dear guests, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to Montreal.
To open with you the 40th session of the ICAO General Assembly.
This day is particularly special as we are reinforcing this impressive milestone along with the 40th Assembly. I am particularly referring to the 75th anniversary of our prestigious organization. Since 1944, ICAO is seeing to it that growth of the world civil aviation system be sustainable, and it is with pride that Montreal has hosted its headquarters since 1947. It goes without saying that after 3/4 of a century, Montreal has developed a strong attachment to ICAO. Yesterday, we launched the Montreal Week of International Civil Aviation, a week organized in honor of your organization. It allows us also to reinforce the key role that the aviation sector, civil aviation sector, holds in the Montreal community. Civil aviation is a deeply rooted industry in Montreal. Montreal has an established reputation in the aerospace industry. We are the world's third largest center of aerospace manufacturing and one of the only 3 cities in the world that can build an airplane from start to finish. ICAO has always played an important role in the development of the aerospace sector in Montreal. Thanks to your organization, there are numerous other organizations in civil aviation in the world that have chosen to set up their headquarters in our city, among them IATA, ACI, IFALPA, and IBAC. Our linkages with ICAO are so strong that we renamed one of the flagship metro stations in your honor in the downtown core. We also recently inaugurated near ICAO the International Civil Aviation Square, which has become a symbolic gateway to the downtown core. And there will be, in fact, a monument as well that will be part of that square. The aerospace industry is a sector that is developing rapidly and which fuels innovation and new technology development. And as you know, all of the elements are here in Montreal to continue developing. There's talent, there's workforce, there's manpower, and there's energy. This is part of a strong ecosystem, and I think, Mr. Premier, we share the same goals in this area. This is a sector that must take into account multiple security challenges and a rapidly changing complex world stage. It's also a sector that must take into account major environmental issues. More than ever before, we, the governments, the supranational bodies, must ensure the protection of the environment and to battle climate change. Incidentally, yesterday I had the immense honor of speaking on behalf of municipalities at the opening of the UN Climate Action Summit. The responsibility of taking climate action is something that our government takes very seriously, and I'm pleased to see that it lies at the heart of your deliberations. Today, I hope that we all take the time to highlight ICAO's historic contribution and the work of its member states. Civil aviation connects the international community, and ICAO plays a high-profile role in ensuring harmonious and peaceful use of airspace. I wish you all productive deliberations over the coming days in all of the sessions that you hold.
Enjoy Montreal, our beautiful and dynamic city. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Madam Mayor, on behalf of the delegates and participants at this 40th Assembly, I would like to thank you most sincerely for the hospitality that your city has shown to all since their arrival. I also take this opportunity to say how much we value the ongoing support of your administration and the local community in making many of us feel at home during our stay here in Montreal, which is truly the global headquarters of aviation. Thank you so much.
I now invite Mr. Michael Keenan, Canada's Deputy Minister of Transport, to address the Assembly.
Monsieur le Président du Conseil,
Mr. President Council, Madam Secretary General, Mr. Premier of Quebec, and the Mayor of Montreal, distinguished guests. It is a great honor for me to address this distinguished audience on behalf of the Minister of Transport of Canada, the Honourable Marc Garneau, and to receive you here in Montreal. ICAO is a major pillar of the international community and of ordered international collaboration. It contributes and has contributed to guiding an industry that unites the whole world through air transportation that is safe, secure, efficient, sustainable, and accessible. As state members working together to support and to advance civil aviation in the world, we can all be proud of the work that has been accomplished by ICAO.
always, Canada remains committed to ICAO, its vision for sustainable growth, and its mission to serve as the global forum for international civil aviation. We are proud to be a founding member of ICAO, and we are deeply honored that since its inception, Canada has been ICAO's home. The aviation industry needs forward-thinking leaders and partners at ICAO, because the fact is, the challenges facing civil aviation are complex in nature and global in scope, requiring a collaborative approach to reach real and lasting solutions for everyone, everywhere international airlines fly. Examples include responding to aviation safety and security threats while international traffic continues to increase, addressing labor shortages and promoting participation of traditionally underrepresented groups, embracing innovative technologies, and promoting environmental sustainability in the aviation sector. Now, as we know, today is historic. We are marking both the 40th session of the ICAO Assembly and the organization's 75th anniversary. Now, it is hard to imagine just how far we have come in 75 years. In Canada, we have gone from fewer than 1 million air passengers a year to more than 110 million today. Every country has experienced this kind of exceptional growth in aviation, and it's continuing.
Our industries and our expertise have been transformed side by side with ICAO, and ICAO has supported us all in the incredible growth of air transport in the past 75 years. Anniversaries, of course, are a time to look back at the things we have accomplished, but they are also an opportunity to take stock of our current situation and the challenges that are waiting.
We must find ways to foster, enable, and embrace innovation. For example, in Canada, we are looking forward to the future of Aviation, a partnership between NAV Canada, Iridium Communications, and other leading air navigation providers in Denmark, Italy, and the United Kingdom. By providing 100% global air traffic surveillance in real time, it will be a game changer for the international aviation sector.
Innovation can be seen in all areas, and we will be better prepared by addressing the challenges that result and reap the benefits when we work together with all of the ICAO members. And it is in this spirit that I would like to wish you welcome to Canada and express to you just how much Canada wishes this assembly to be as productive and memorable as all the others, particularly as we are celebrating the 75th anniversary of ICAO at this 40th Assembly. Thank you.
Mr. Deputy Minister, for 75 years now, Canada has been a most gracious host to ICAO. This is unique in the history of the United Nations system and has made Canada the envy of many other countries around the world. Be assured that your unfailing commitment to ICAO and to its mandate for the safe and orderly development of international civil aviation is very much appreciated. Please extend also our best regard to our dear friend, Minister Magania. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join ICAO in appreciating our distinguished guests as they now make their way from the Assembly Hall. We thank them again for their presence here this morning and for their generous words of praise and appreciation. We would now ask that the representatives of states being recognized for Council President certificates gather at the front of the hall, near the right-hand side of the stage, on my left. So the states recipients of the Council President certificates, please make your way to the front of the hall on my left. Thank you.
Well, honorable ministers, excellencies, distinguished colleagues, we'll continue with our program. This is one element in the program that makes me feel very proud. The ICAO Council established the Council President certificate in support of the No Country Left Behind initiative. The purpose of these certificates, which are issued annually, is to recognize states from each ICAO region which have made significant progress in resolving their safety and security deficiencies and improving the effective implementation of ICAO standards and recommended practices. The eligibility criteria used for this recognition are objective and transparent and are based on the results of ICAO safety and security audit programs and other related activities. Based on their achievements in 2018, I have the pleasure to invite the recipient states one by one to the podium to receive their Council President certificates for safety progress. MC. Yeah.
And then you go to the center. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. I now invite the representative of our first recipient state for safety, Azerbaijan, to come forward for its certificate. Our next recipient is Bahrain. Next is Gabon. Georgia. Ghana. Guatemala. We have Guatemala. India. Mauritania. Montenegro. Do we have Montenegro? Mozambique. Myanmar. Do we have Myanmar? He is coming down. Those that are receiving certificates, please come down to the very front of the stage. It will accelerate the proceedings. Papua New Guinea. Peru. Qatar. Serbia. And the Congo. We now move on to the security recognitions, and I invite the representative of our first recipient state, Bahrain, to come forward for its certificate. Next is Croatia. Dominican Republic. Georgia. Ghana. Jamaica. Kazakhstan. Kenya. Maldives. Mauritania. Namibia. Is Namibia here? Ah, yes. Nigeria. Qatar. Rwanda. Trinidad and Tobago. Turkey. And finally, Uganda. We do need the representative of Turkey to come back on stage, please, with Mr. President. The representative of Turkey, please, on stage for the photo. I think we had just a problem with the camera, and we do want everyone. So we repeat the performance. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me now in showing our appreciation for the commitments and achievements of all of these 28 states with a warm round of applause. It is the tradition at ICAO to have a family portrait. So I would ask all of the recipients to come back on stage so that we have a photo of all of the recipients for this year. Okay. Yes.
We have to continue our business. Please take your seats. Please take your seats. We'll continue with our business, please. The recipient states can celebrate later, but let's continue with our business. Please, in accordance with our order of business, agenda item 2, approval of the agenda for the Assembly. In accordance with Rule 12 of the Standing Rules of Procedure of the Assembly, I invite the Assembly to approve the agenda as contained in Working Paper 1. I see no request for the floor. I take it that the Assembly approves the agenda of the Assembly. Thank you so much. Agenda item 3, establishment of the committees and commissions. In accordance with Rules 6B, 14, and 18 of the Rules of Procedure, I invite the Assembly to establish a credentials committee, an executive committee, a coordinating committee, and a technical as well as economic, legal, and administrative commission. The coordinating committee will be used as may be required to coordinate the work of the Assembly among the various committees. With respect to the Credentials Committee, which will meet immediately following the close of the plenary this morning to examine the credentials of members of the delegations, I wish to invite delegations of Chile, Fiji, Iran, Nigeria, and the Russian Federation. 5 members representing 5 member states. I ask this delegation to designate 1 member of their delegations to sit on this committee, which will meet immediately following the close of the plenary. The committee will elect its own chairperson and will present an oral report to the plenary at 15:00 hours this afternoon. In absence of comments, I take it that the Assembly has established these committees: the Credentials Committee, the Executive Committee, the Technical, Economic, Legal, and Administrative Commissions, as well as a coordinating committee. Thank you so much. Agenda item 4, reference of subjects to committees and commissions. I invite the plenary to refer various parts of the agenda as set forth in Working Paper 1 to the Executive Committee and to the relevant commissions as follows. The Executive Committee will deal with items 10 to 26. The Technical Commission with items 27 to 30. The Economic Commission with items 31 to 36. The Legal Commission with items 37 to 40. And the Administrative Commission with items 41 to 52. Are you in agreement with this, please? I see no request for the floor. I take it that the Assembly has delegated the responsibility to review those specific items to the various committees as I enumerated. Item 5, election of member states to be represented on the Council. With respect to deadline for notification of candidacies for the first and second parts of the Council election, in accordance with Rule 55 of the Standing Rules of Procedure of the Assembly, the first and second parts of the election shall be held within 4 days of the opening of the session. As per Rule 56, member states desiring to stand for election in either the first or second part of the Council election must notify the Secretary General in writing during the period of 48 hours following the opening of the session. That is, not later than approximately 12:15 hours on Thursday, 26 September. I repeat, not later than 12:15 hours on Thursday, 26 September. The first and second parts of the election will be held at a plenary meeting on Saturday, 28 September at 0900 hours. The third part of the election will take place on Tuesday, 1st October at 1400 hours. And notification of candidatures for that part will be receivable from the close of the plenary meeting on Saturday, 28 September, for a period of 48 hours. That is, until the same hour on Monday, 30 September, and should be submitted in writing to the Secretary General. With respect to the maximum number of states to be represented on the Council, as suggested in Working Paper 2, the Council recommended that the Assembly establish that the maximum number of seats to be elected in the 3 parts of the election should be 11, 12, and 13, respectively. Do you agree with this recommendation? I see no request for the floor. I take it that the maximum number of seats to be elected in the 3 parts of the election shall be 11 in Part 1, 12 in Part 2, and 13 in Part 3. We have come to the close of the first session. The second meeting of the plenary will be held at 1500 hours this afternoon. I have been requested to remind all delegates not to leave their belongings in the Assembly Hall, as the seating configuration will be adjusted during the lunch hour to accommodate all registered, or as much as possible, the registered delegates. I now invite the 5 members of the Credentials Committee to kindly join me at the podium, following which they will be invited to proceed, accompanied by Mr. Benoit Verhagen, Secretary of the Committee, to their first meeting. And in this regard, I want to thank them for their service to this organization. If they miss their lunch while the rest of you are having lunch, they may be having meetings. With that, the meeting is adjourned.